Hey, man. Hey, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, buddy. Good to be here.
I keep saying this over and over. We got each other, and that's a really good place to start from.
Yeah, for sure.
I love this
I'm digging the
topic.
setup. I'm really digging your setup, though. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to
I
get in the
appreciate
new
it.
office and get our new setup going. Yeah.
I know. I'm excited for you, too. I'm excited about this topic because, I'm a little all over the place, and you've really, really helped me with focus. And I have my own little saying about focused intention and how poignant and impactful that's been in my life. And focus is your word of the year.
It is.
And I want to understand why, of course, and I have a pretty good idea. And I want folks to understand how it affects them professionally when they're running their nonprofit, also in their personal life, all this other goodness that can come out of maintaining, finding it, all the above. And just talk to me about it, man.
Well, one of the interesting things I've come to find over the past 30 years of dealing with nonprofits, over more than 30 years now, but just dealing with leaders and stuff like that, is the similarities between a lot of people in the nonprofit and the for-profit. For one, typically you always think of the entrepreneur in the for-profit world. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in the nonprofit world as well. And some of the similarities are, and I'm going to use this term that I don't think this is all encompassing, but I think it gets overused, but I'm going to use the ADD term. Having that attention deficit, you're kind of all over the place. Well, I think it's a superpower, quite frankly. I don't believe that, and I'm someone who has it, and I don't think that it's a detriment. I don't think it takes away anything, but you have to learn how to manage it. And one of the things that, being this way is you have the ability to hyper-focus, really drill in on something. Now, until you find something that gathers your attention that you're willing to hyper-focus on, it's going to seem like you're all over the place. And I think focus is something that everybody can do it. I think, but it's something you have to learn. Nobody comes out of the womb and they're born and they just have an automatic ability to focus. I don't believe that. I think that everybody has to manage it in a different way. Everybody gets distracted. Now, it's how fast can you get back on task? And I think one of the reasons that people struggle is because they don't know what tasks they're supposed to be focusing on in the first place. We spend a lot of time, you and I do, talking about things that are going to move the needle, things that are going to push our mission forward, what we want to do company-wide with HGA and our personal lives, things like that. And focus is, when something's in focus, that means you know what it is. You've thought about it, consciously thinking about what it is, what's the goal, where do I want to go, what do I want to do? And for nonprofit leaders, it's just as important. Maybe it's something that you need to focus not so much on fundraising. Maybe you need to focus on services, providing your services in a better way, more efficiency. Maybe it's that you need to focus on your board. Maybe it's that you need to focus on, the committee development. Maybe it's on employees. How do I get the right employees? By developing them internally and cultivating a culture that they want to be a part of. So all these things come at different times, and everybody says, well, I'm going to focus on my business. I think that's the biggest bunch of, I'm going to focus on my nonprofit. I'm really going to focus.
It's a wide net.
It is. What are you going to focus on? Because as gifted as you can possibly be, the most gifted people I've ever been around, and I'm talking about whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, anything across the board, these are just my observations. The people who were the most gifted at running businesses, running nonprofits, is their ability and the decision that they made to focus on things that were important and not get caught up in all the minutia. They just didn't care. All the drama that comes along in the world and all the things going on, they just didn't care. They just don't.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fulfill, it doesn't push things forward of what they wanted to do. And I that was probably a revelation to me about 20 years ago. And I had somebody who I think very highly of give me a real good kick in the seat of the pants and said, you need to start focusing and paying attention and doing what you're wasting all your talent. And it's because I just never made a decision to focus. And once I did that, then everything changed. And I started focusing on, I really spent time to say, okay, what do I need to focus on? What is my attention? Where does it need to be? And, if it's personal, maybe I need to focus on my spouse. Maybe I need to focus on my health. Maybe I need to focus on just simply going to bed and getting it up at a specific time. It can be whatever. And so that's why I think that word, it means so much to me. There's a friend of mine, he was the largest distributor of wrap in North America, maybe the planet. And when I say wrap, WRAP, so like you'd wrap a car with, like, you see the cars wrapped. It
It
wasn't
was not
like
Eminem.
RAP
Yeah.
rap. It was WRAP. And he had a tattoo on the inside of his bicep. Guy's 6'7". I mean, he was my age at the time when I first met him. He's in his 60s now. He had a tattoo on his inside of his left bicep that said focus.
Wow.
And it was because that's what he said. He goes, I'm in the rap business. I want to be the best in the rap business. I don't want to do anything else. There's nothing else I do. I don't own real estate. I don't do this. I don't do that. I only do one thing because I can only do one thing well at a time. And that's what he did. And he became the largest distributor, sold for $1 gazillion, and now lives most of his time in Italy. And if you want more information on that about just do it, there's a book called Focus. Sorry, I don't have the author, but you can look it up. It's called Focus, just one word. Really, really good book, and it can be life-changing because the whole point of this is, what are you focusing on? For you professional fundraisers out there, you've got to focus on a few things. Because if you don't, you're literally like, you remember the dolls Stretch Armstrong that we had when we were kids? You're getting pulled in 5 different directions. Literally, somebody's got a hold of your head and somebody's got one arm, somebody's got another arm. You've got a board, you've got committees, employees, donors, the people that you serve. There's 5 right there that are pulling you in different directions all the time. And you can't possibly meet and fulfill all those needs all the time. So you literally find yourself just moving from one fire to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And there is a part of that. I mean, having been in business since I was 23, I mean, that's pretty much what the job is you're putting a lot of fires out.
It's inevitable.
However,
Yeah.
if you don't focus on the things that are important and make them important and write them down and put them where you really can, verbalize them, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just not. You're never going to be able to get any bigger. You're not going to make it over that next hump. The average nonprofit is $250,000 annual revenue. That's the average in the United States. It's remarkable to me. I mean, that's not, that's $20,000 a month of revenue. That's all it is. To get past that is remarkable. Only 4% of all businesses in the for-profit world ever get to $1 million. Only 4%. I think it's probably significantly less than that get to be $1 million in the nonprofit world. It does take work. It takes focus and it takes a desire. That's my opening monologue about getting
No, I love it.
Focus. And
you said something interesting. You said something interesting because I want to just talk to people about like how to access it, how to build that skill.
Yeah.
I said at the onset is how much you've helped me with this. You told me so many things and have worked with our team to stay hyper-focused. But talk to me about how people can start with that.
I just had this conversation at lunch today. His comment was about something, if something didn't work out, well, I got this deal. And I said, don't ever say that. He goes, why? And I said, because as soon as you say it, your subconscious believes it because it believes everything that you tell it, whether that's in the news, whether that's in, your own self-speak, you hear somebody else say something. Your subconscious doesn't know. You can lie to your subconscious and it will believe it. And he said, well, how do you get around that? And I said, write it down and look at it first thing in the morning and last thing at night.
Love that.
Make it an affirmative statement, a positive statement. I'm going to be the top fundraiser in my city. I'm going to be the best employee. I'm going to run a marathon. Whatever it is you want to do, I don't care. It doesn't matter because good, bad, or indifferent, whatever you tell yourself, whatever you tell your subconscious, it will happen. There's a real interesting thing my wife and I did in 2004 when we got married. We took a bunch of little sticky notes and we wrote them up.
I remember you saying this.
We wrote them and we would just write everything that we wanted to do in marriage. And we took these sticky notes and then we put them up on the wall. And it was just anything we could think of, crazy stuff. And at the time, we were not wealthy by any means. I mean, quite frankly, we were the opposite. We weren't poor, but we were not, we were just very, very middle class, average. We wrote all these things down. We took them, my wife put them in a spreadsheet. She puts everything in a spreadsheet. She put it all in a spreadsheet and we sit there and we looked at it and we talked about it. We prayed over it and we just really cemented it in. And then we put it away and filed it. Now, we didn't go back and look at it daily like I'm suggesting but this is how powerful this is. We pulled it back up probably 6 years later. Everything that we put down had come to fruition. There were a couple of exceptions, but there were things that just, we could have done it, but we didn't because we outgrew it and realized it was kind of silly. And I'm going to tell you how powerful this is. And this is not a brag. This is just a fact. Okay. We wrote down silly things like we were going to own a limo. I wanted to own a helicopter. I put that down. That we were going to fund our kids' tuition, that we were going to move into a house with a swimming pool and, just all these things. And it was a lot of physical stuff. And I'll be quite frank with you. I look back at it now and I was kind of like, wow, but it all happened. Everything happened. Everything. Not only one helicopter, I've owned 2. Okay. And I say And I say it so
That you flew yourself, by the way. That
that I
isn't,
flew
yeah,
myself. Yeah.
that's, yeah.
But here's the thing. What it did was made me realize how powerful, if it was this powerful, if it's just putting that in your mind is that powerful that you just do it, just really do this exercise, put it in a file and just leave it. Your subconscious takes it on. Imagine how much more powerful it is if you look at it on a daily basis. So when there's something
Huge.
that I need to focus on, something that I need to do, I make a list and I read that list to myself. I do it in a couple of different ways. Certain things are overarching, like big things that I want to achieve on my own, my goal, whether it's for the company, myself, my family, my marriage, things like that. I'll write it down. Then things that I want to accomplish for the week, I write down. I mean, I make a note on Sunday night. I usually spend a little time and I write these things down, everything that I want to accomplish for the week. And as I knock them down, I just put a line through it. It's done. I don't go back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I found is when I was able to do that, a lot of the chatter and a lot of the noise just left. Well, I just went from being busy running around all over the place, constantly on the go, constantly just moving, never catching up, always being super busy. And we still have times. I mean, we still have times. You and I talk about it, So then, I just get it done. And that's how I achieve focus.
Sounds like it's like almost like an ownership. You're taking ownership of your time and what's happening and what you're working towards on the short term, the long term. And it really is yours though, right? I think it's imperative that you take ownership of these things if you really want to maintain that focus and actually really, really achieve some cool things in your personal and professional life, right?
Yeah. Well, you said something here, Josh, a couple of years ago. You said, I'm not going to negotiate with myself. That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example of it. You start negotiating with yourself. Well, you're never going to get anything done, because you're always going to talk yourself out of it.
It almost seems like the minutia of what's going on in the world right now that we can get caught up in is almost designed to pull our focus away from what we want to achieve for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it totally
seems so
does.
obvious. Like it's like being done by design, which I totally get.
Okay. But here's an example about how, this works. So if I focus on something I have no control on, I have no control over, I don't have any ability to influence or do anything about, what good am I? Then it's fleeting. It's nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. I don't put my attention into those things that I have no control over. I put my attention into the things that I do. Really, the only thing that you control in this world is yourself. That's it. Nothing else. You control nothing else except for yourself, because you may have influence. Okay. You've got a 5-year-old daughter. Do you control her?
Sometimes.
But I mean, really, do you really control that person? No.
No. I'm trying to. Yeah, I mean,
you have
funny.
influence on
no.
what they do and how they behave, and you can influence those things. We have 20 people in our organization, 17 employees that we work with all the time, and I mean that work for us all the time. And can I control what they're doing? I can't. No, we're scattered all over the United States. I can't control anything. Now, do I have influence? Some.
Yeah.
But I can't control them. I can't tell them when to show up, what to do. I mean, that's just not, it doesn't work that way. But you have influence. And so once you realize that you can't control anything, then you don't try to control anything. You just try to focus on the things that you have influence on, that you can work on. And that's it. And most of it is self-directed. Most of it's to us, because whenever I start showing up on time, guess what? Everybody else does too. Whenever I start putting forth, positive messaging and having gratitude and being thankful, well, that starts coming back.
Becomes infectious.
You want to work at a great company? You want to work at a great organization? Be a great employee. Be a great teammate. Be a great leader.
There's dignity in that. I think it's awesome. Be the best. You said that, it's like, hey, you're starting out, you're whatever, 17, 19, whatever, you're sweeping floors, be the best floor sweeper. It's just like, there's dignity in that. You know what I mean? It's like, just be the best. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a college education. Okay. I did go to college, and I'm a very educated man, but I don't have a formal college education. I mean, I was a firefighter dragging hoses for the first, 12 years of my professional career. I mean, I did other things. I worked on my own. I started my first company when I was 23, but I'm still, I look at things like that and I go, gosh, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. There's people that have a lot more education, a lot smarter than I am, but because they never focus. They never really zero in on what it is they want to do. Because we're talking about in the fundraisers. I mean, everybody, hopefully what you're listening to, you're in the fundraising world, working for the nonprofit. And if you're not, hey, welcome. We're glad to hear you here.
Thank you. It's awesome. These things apply.
It is. And so if you're constantly focusing on all the minutia and the little chatter that's going on around you, you're never going to get anything done. And that's why you're never going to break over that 250,000. If you're one of those that are sitting there going, I just can't seem to get past it, it's because you're focused on the wrong stuff.
Sure. Absolutely. No
or not
question.
focusing at all, and you're just reacting.
I'm not saying that this has to be the way that the approach that people take, but I really, really notice this in my life. You're always pushing me to focus on things, and we're constantly talking, and we have each other, and that's the truth, bro. And I'm so eternally grateful for it. You and I had the opportunity to leave the country recently, and I remember like unplugging, and I don't do a lot of that, but we unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember coming back to the States and obviously the rush of the cars and the buildings and all that stuff. And it's like, whoa, it was a shock to my nervous system. And I also remember how inconsequential all of the little things that I would worry about, that you said, I really honestly could not control. I remember that they just went by the wayside. It was such a liberating feeling and such a good wake up call for me. I'm not saying, once again, you have to go out of the country to do this, but just unplugging, putting the phone down. Like you said, I love the idea. I'm an avid journaler, talking about these things with people that you trust and care about, and putting these things out in the world so you have intention and that you're accountable to the ideas and the focus that you want to bring to whatever your endeavor might be. It's just huge. Like I said, it's like, once again, those things that you can't control, they're inconsequential. You can't control it. The outcome might be horrible. I don't know. You know what I mean? But once again, you can't control what you can't control. So I just noticed that recently, and it was huge. It was really, really good for me.
Some simple things that I would recommend anybody doing is write down three things that you want to have happen. Right. Run down professional, one personal, and one relational, and then give a deadline, how long what you're going to do. Give it 90 days, just 90 days. 90 days, not very long, quarter of a year, and write those three things down. And every morning, I want you, and you don't need to share it with anybody. Okay. This is your personal statement. Write three things down. Again, something doesn't have to be in any order, because it doesn't matter. Your subconscious doesn't know. It's just hearing it all. It doesn't mean that this is one more important. And this is where there's no such thing as too much. Well, it's too vain, or this is this. I want to be this, or that. Just pick some stuff out. Okay. If you say, well, I want to learn how to sing. Fine. Learn how to sing. Okay. That's fine. Okay, great. Whatever it is you want to do, write it down. And, people tend to go physical. When you do things physically, your mental will follow that. Versus if you just sit around thinking about stuff all the time, it won't get better. You can't think your body into better shape, but you can work your body that will get your head into better shape. But anyway, three things. So write down something. Has to be a positive statement. Not I'm going to try, not I would like to. It just says I am. I am. I am. I will. I will be able to run a 10-minute mile in 90 days by this date. And just write the date down. You don't have to write 90 days, but just write the date down. Okay. So there's one. Maybe professionally, I want to get 10 new independent donors at $1,000 or more. There's one. There's
Awesome.
one. And then relationally. Now, this could be relationships personally. It could be familial, in other words, your family. It could be work. Whatever, but just write something relationally that you want to get down. I want to go to lunch once a week with one of my friends. Something like that. Whatever it is, I don't care. Don't overthink it. Don't sit here back in 90 days going, well, I should have started this 90 days ago. When you hear this, stop what you're doing, pull over, do whatever it is, write three things down. Because I just want you to see how powerful it is. And then put it somewhere where you're going to, when you brush your teeth in the morning, when the first thing, I don't know, whatever you do when you first get up, but you read those things. You don't have to spend a lot of time. You don't need to sit there and spend 30 minutes on it. Just read it. Say them out loud. Then at night, before you go to bed, do the same thing. 10 seconds.
It's awesome.
10 seconds in the morning, 10 seconds in the afternoon. Everybody has time for that.
So powerful, though.
Because what you're going to do is you subconsciously start to focus on the things that matter. Your subconscious, you'll start focusing on the things that it needs to take to be able to go run a mile. You're going to be able to go do the things that you need to do to get those donors. You're going to be able to start having that change in your relationships because you're going to lunch with people. You're being intentional. See, intentionality and focus go right together.
Agreed. I love that. I love that homework too. That's fun. 90 days. Hey, if you're listening to this, write that down and then do us a favor and circle back with us and send us an email, jason@hafundraising.com or trevor@hafundraising.com, or both of us. You can copy us. Let us know what the outcome is or what you're thinking about, or share it in the comments. Cool. We like to hear that feedback and hear how that focused intention affects your life. That'd be really, really cool. You've taught me a lot about this, brother, and I think it's kind of cool homework. I think I might do it myself. So really, really good. Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
That's awesome, brother.
Wow.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing, man. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Hope you get something out of that. If you do get any value out of this episode or any episode of Hey Nonprofits, do us a favor. Download, rate, review, subscribe, share it with someone in your network.
Please.
We're getting so much great feedback from nonprofit professionals about the pod, putting our best information out for free. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you love our podcast, click the download button, rate us, and follow us on social media at HGA Fundraising. Get out there, start fundraising, and raise more money. See you next time.